Welcome to the Day 7, Session 1 of Qualitative and Quantitative Research of 10 days virtual workshop on research methodology in social science, organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Bansanga's SM Shetty College of Science, Commerce and Management Studies, sponsored by Indian Council of Social Science Research. So today we will have a session on qualitative and quantitative research, which is a need, which is a requirement for doing research. So before we proceed towards the session, let's know about our today's resource person. Today, we are privileged and honored to have Dr. Somnath Vibhute, Principal, St. Gonzalez Garcia College, Vasai. Sir is an associate professor and a member of Board of Studies in Economics, University of Mumbai. Sir is an approved PhD guide in Economics and Business Economics from University of Mumbai. Sir is a member of Board of Studies in Economics in University of Mumbai. Sir is also BOS member at Patka Vardhe College, Goregaon and Birla College, Kalyan. Sir is a member of Academic Council of DTSS College, Autonomous College, Malad, Mumbai. Sir has presented several research papers in many national and international conferences, seminars, and symposia and in journals. Sir has 18 books to his credit on economics, managerial economics, and business economics for the students of University of Mumbai, Bhavnagar University, and Saurashtra University. Sir has written many articles in leading newspapers such as Lok Satta, Navakar, Prahar, Maharashtra Times, and so on and so forth. With such a rich experience, I'm sure participants will gain a lot from today's session. So, sir, now I request you to take forward the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words and great introduction of mine. At the outset, I take this opportunity to congratulate SM Shetty College for organizing such, I would say, workshop of 7 days or 8 days, where different aspects of research are touched upon, and various resource persons were invited to speak on the areas in which they have something to say. And I'm very happy that the college has organized such kind of workshop, 7 days, 8 days workshop, in which the knowledge, technical knowledge will be disseminated, and the participants will be definitely benefited out of this knowledge. So again, I take this opportunity to thank organizers, because they have invited me and requested to speak on qualitative as well as quantitative research. Professor Liji, my classmate, we have studied together, and she was kind enough for inviting me to be a part of this session. Thank you. So let me share my screen and start with my lecture. Just a moment. Are you able to see it?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. So the topic given to me is qualitative and quantitative research. Before I begin with the presentation, let me explain to you the roadmap of my lecture. Initially, I'll speak a little bit about research, not in detail, but some important aspects of research and the very purpose of the research, and then different approaches which we follow in the research which we undertake. In fact, the word research is a combination of two words, re plus search. which indicates that one has to have curious mindset in order to focus further light on the facts which are either established fully or partially, or they need to be further exploration in order to create new knowledge. Whenever we talk about the research, particularly in social sciences, we need also to think about that the research under social sciences is something not a stereotype of research. It is a broad exploration, I would say. It can have number of dimensions, and a researcher needs to think to touch upon some important dimensions of that research. Research provides us an opportunity to revisit certain facts which are established by earlier researchers. A researcher can add value to that existing facts, and he can extend the subject line further. In fact, when we talk about the social science research, we need to understand that it is a great opportunity to focus on findings of such kind of research, which ultimately help in policy making, preparing policy plans, and better ways of executing those policy plans. So with this brief intro, let me start with the initial slides. As I am telling you, that research is basically a systematic inquiry where we try to describe certain facts, we try to explain certain things. It could be variables, it could be definitions, it could be concepts. We try to predict certain things, and we try to control certain observed phenomena. So it is a systematic process of finding out something, to explain, to describe, to predict a particular trend in the future based on certain data which is collected, again by adopting scientific methods, and then we try to explore, we try to explain different methods whereby we try to get some conclusions. Broadly speaking, it includes two different methods: inductive research and deductive research, or inductive methods and deductive methods. Another definition we must see, which is very simple. Research is basically a detailed study of a subject, especially in order to discover a new information, to reach new understandings. That is how Cambridge Dictionary defines research. In a simple words, we can say that the whole purpose of the research is to create new knowledge, or to revisit existing facts, existing knowledge, which is established knowledge, or to restudy the established findings in a new way or in a creative way, so that new concepts can be generated, new ideas can be evolved, new methodologies can be adopted, and new expanded understanding can be established. So broadly speaking, before going into that inductive and deductive methodologies or approaches, or qualitative as well as quantitative approaches, one need to understand the very introductory aspect of the research process, whereby one tries to fill the gap between existing established knowledge and the proposed level of knowledge, where different methodologies can be adopted and applied, and some new ideas can be evolving, new concepts can be evolving, and new facts can be established. Now, going further, as I have been telling you, that there are two broader approaches as far as research is concerned. And they are slightly mentioned just a few minutes ago: inductive methods or inductive approach, as well as a deductive approach. The inductive approach is the approach which tries to analyze the observed event. Like what any event, and researcher tries to analyze that event which is observed or which is monitored by a researcher. Okay. Whereas a deductive method or deductive approach is the approach where one tries to verify the observed event. So there is a slight difference, rather a big difference. And we need to understand that difference, that one tries to analyze the observed events, whereas the other tries to verify those observed events. See, analyzing is different and verifying is different. When we talk about the inductive methods or inductive methodologies, one tries to analyze the observed facts, observed events, why it happened. What were the causes behind that? Was there a relationship between certain variables pertaining to that event, X and Y? That will go under inductive approach. Whereas under deductive, it will be verifying the observed facts in the sense XYZ is an established fact. Is it really true? If yes, how much it is true? If not, then why and how it is not true? So established facts will be re-verified under deductive approach. And dear friends, that inductive approach, where a researcher tries to analyze the observed events, are nothing but a qualitative approach towards research. And the deductive approach, where facts are re-verified, observed events are re-verified, are nothing but quantitative approach or quantitative research. I'm sure that the clarification is clear that both approaches are different, where qualitative focuses on analytical aspect, whereas quantitative tries to verify the observed events. Moving forward, we need to understand, the qualitative methods in the beginning. And when we talk about the qualitative methods are the methods of research where a researcher collects the data by using conversational methods. Usually open-ended questions. It could be a questionnaire, it could be a schedule, it could be an observation, it could be an interview. They are the conversational methods where a respondent is involved and the investigator is also involved. The respondents as well as investigators, they may meet physically or they may explore technology in their conversation. The responses which are collected are of qualitative type. I mean to say, they are non-numerical in nature. And therefore, this method helps researcher to understand that what is the thinking line of the participants, how the respondent is thinking, what is the approach of the respondents, what are the views of the respondents. their feelings, their emotions, their thought process can be well observed by a researcher under the qualitative method. Not only that what participants think, but also a researcher tries to understand why they think in a particular way or in that particular manner. So once again, we need to understand the essence of qualitative methods of research, where it is a conversational method through observation, through questionnaire, through schedules, or through interview. All four are different. Where open-ended questions, not a structured way, but open-ended questionnaire can be prepared. Some questions, some questions may be added on the spot. Some different dimension to that interview can be given. And therefore, the responses will be collected and the responses will be of non-medical nature. This method, as I told you, tries to get into the mind of the person who is responding to your queries. Tries to understand the feelings, emotions, thinking process. And not only that, also tries to explore that why they must be thinking in that particular way. So this is a qualitative method where a person can take interview, a researcher, I mean to say, of a consumer or of a farmer or a student or of a teacher. And a researcher will try to understand the viewpoints, the thoughts, the thinking of that student, of that teacher, of the businessman, or of a consumer, or of a farmer regarding that particular issue or particular topic. So what we have to keep in mind, that qualitative method adopts conversational tools to gather the data, which is non-numerical in nature, more of descriptive, more of psychological thinking, and tries to basically get answer to the questions like what they think and why they think in a particular way. That's it. Moving forward, we need to understand the types of qualitative research. Broadly speaking, there are 5 major types of qualitative research. The first is one-to-one interview, where interviewer is there and interviewee is there. They can have a dialogue. They can have informal question answers, whereby a respondent can be understood properly. Second is a focus group. A group of selected people related to that subject matter, and a facilitator will try to interact with that group and will try to understand the group feeling, group way of thinking about that particular topic. Third is an ethnographic study, where the researcher himself or herself get immersed with that group, tries to be a part of that group, stay with them, adopt their lifestyle, walk with them, eat with them, and establish a close bond, and tries to understand their lifestyle, their way of living, their way of thinking. The fourth is a text analysis. And the last one is a case study. So this is the menu as far as qualitative research is concerned. Moving forward, we have quantitative research, Another extreme or a different dimension of the research, I would say, inductive approach, where quantitative method deals basically with numbers, quantity. This method deals with numbers which are measurable basically. You can count it. And this quantitative method uses the systematic way of investigating a particular event or particular set of data. It tries to answer questions to justify particular relationship, say between X and Y, or the amount of rainfall and yield of the crop. Timely arrival of monsoon and its impact on farm productivity, yield of crops with proper database. It answers, as I told you, questions to justify the relationship between say rainfall and farm productivity with measurable variables. Like how much was the proportion of a rainfall in last say 10 years in particular district, or how much was the change in the farm productivity in that particular district for the past 10 years. So this research, as I told you, that adopts or deals with numbers and measurable forms. It uses systematic way of investigating events or data. It answers questions to justify a relationship with measurable variables to either explain or to predict or control particular phenomena. So this is a quantitative method where numbers are important, measurable variables are important, and systematic approach of gathering that data, statistical tools to analyze that. And the ultimate aim is to explain the phenomena, describe the phenomena, predict something about that particular variable in future based on the past database. And it tries to control sometimes that particular phenomena. So this is a quantitative method. Moving forward, we have three important types as far as quantitative methods are concerned. One is a survey research. Second is correlational research. And third is experimental research. And all three we are going to see in detail. So this is, I hope, the basic distinction between two different types of research, that is inductive and deductive, qualitative and quantitative, whereby under first, the event is analyzed, and second, the event is verified. Moving forward, one need to understand three prerequisites for any successful research, and the prerequisites are very clear: accuracy of the research, validity of the research, and reliability of the research. Whether the researcher is using qualitative tools or quantitative tools or mix of qualitative as well as quantitative tools, a researcher has to keep in mind that he or she has to maintain accuracy of the result, validity of the result, and reliability of the result. The facts which are established after the research should be logical facts, founded facts, and the validity should be based on rigorous gathering of the data, impartial approach while gathering that data, qualitative as well as quantitative. And then truth has to come up after the research. As far as accuracy is concerned, findings of the research should be free of errors, and it should be including required details, leading to non-ignorance of certain important facets of that database or that research. As far as reliability is concerned, one need to be more careful, because the facts which are based on the database, which are based on rigorous investigation, should remain facts, and even the other people who investigate similar kind of topic, their findings should produce more or less similar results which you are coming up with. Research has to be a timely content, and it should be complete research with these three requisites: accuracy of the research, validity of the research, and reliability of the research. We are ready to go further, and we are ready to understand that how do we explore different aspects of qualitative research and quantitative research. I told you that qualitative research is basically human intervention, in the sense it can be one-on-one interaction between a researcher and a respondent. And the best of that is an interview method. Interview is a tool to get into the mind of a respondent. In case of qualitative research, one can have an opportunity to prepare a set of questions, to understand them carefully, ask those questions to respondents or population, and get their feedback on that. Now, considering the modern technical and technological evolution, I would say interview cannot be just a personal interview now, where a respondent and an investigator has to meet at a particular place on a predetermined date at a predetermined timing. Now, interview can be a telephonic interview. It can be an email interview. It can be a web interview, or it can be any other kind of interview where tools such as the Skype or Google Meet or Zoom or Microsoft Teams, such kind of, or WebEx kind of applications can be used in order to understand the views of a respondent and record those views. Recorded interviews can be further useful as far as recollecting and revisiting the responses of the respondents and using those responses in the research process. Now, after these types of interviews, rather ways of interview, I would say, like telephonic interview, personal interview, web interviews, or email interviews, we need to understand that interview can be a formal interview or informal interview. In a formal interview, more structured approach would be there. A set of questions will be fixed, whereas in informal interview, an informal conversation can happen between a respondent and investigator. It can be a sequential interview or a panel interview. One-on-one can be called for an interview, one respondent at a time. Finish his process, go to the second, finish second, go to the third, that way. Or it can be a panel interview, where, like one person can be there and panel can correct his interview or conduct his interview rather. There can be a group interview where an investigator can ask set of questions or sets of questions to more than one person and try to understand the mindset of that particular group. Usually we find such kind of things when television anchors or reporters rather, they go in a crowd and they try to ask such kind of questions. And a group of 5 people or 10 people, they will try to explain about that event, about that incidents. Say a tragic accident, for example, where we lost CDS of India in a forest. Villagers can be approached and factual information can be collected by asking them certain questions. So a group of people can answer those questions. There can be a situational interview also. And there can be a video call interview or a phone call interview, as I told you, web interview or telephonic interview. So interview is one very important method of not just gathering data or of not just collecting numbers, but it is an opportunity to interact with the person by asking him or her questions. Try to understand the mindset of that person. Try to logically relate some variables to the responses given by the respondents and try to establish some findings, some relationship between the variables under consideration. This is one very important method of qualitative research. Going forward, we have a focus group. As I told you in the introductory part, that focus group is a particular group of number of people where one has to identify or recruit, say 5 to 10 or 15 people or participants in that particular group. Preferably, the participants which are concerned with that topic or related to that topic under investigation, or they know little bit of that particular issue under consideration. So first step is to recruit some people, say 6 people, 10 people, 15 people, or 12 people in that particular group. Then conduct a session with them. It can be a 1.5 hour session or say 2 hour session. But that session will be led by a moderator who will be a facilitator. And the moderator will be a trained moderator. Moderator knows the purpose of that group discussion. Moderator understands the whole idea that why this exercise is being undertaken. And after conducting that 2 hour session, where different dimensions of that topic under research can be touched upon, informally, it will not be a question answer kind of session. Try to understand. Where discussion will be promoted, where deliberations will be encouraged, where discernment will be happening. And with this, information will be gathered. People will be encouraged to take active part in the discussion. And that is a focused group. And then analysis of that session will be done and a detailed report will be presented, preferably written report. Even an oral report can also be presented, but a written report will be presented. Say a group of 10 trainee people is sent, just an example, sent for a workshop, and saying the initial part, very first day, that group of say 10 trainees or 15 trainees is called to assemble at particular hall or a particular place and is requested to tell everything about them or their journey, for example, right from the beginning of their life. A moderator will sit quiet, will initiate the discussion, and will try to understand the journey of that trainee or manager or a teacher, and will understand the background of that person who is participating in that exercise. Based on that exercise, he or she, I mean moderator, who is a trained moderator, will prepare a written report or an oral report and will submit that report to his team, which are working behind the curtain, and they will curate the program for this management training, group of teachers or group of professors, and then accordingly sessions can be created for that training of 3 days, 4 days. A session can be on team building, session can be on the leadership values, session can be on enhancing quality, session can be on adopting technology, session can be on to meet the industry 4.0 challenges, something like that. Where, again, I'm telling you, the analysis of that discussion will be done, thorough analysis. And after that thorough analysis, either an oral report or a written, preferably written report, will be submitted to the backend teams, which will design program for that team. So topic will be determined, goals will be set, and then the focus group will initiate the discussion around those goals, around that topic. Identifying potential participants is an important act. When you choose 6 people, 10 people, 15 people, you need to identify carefully number of people taking part in that discussion. So, moderator, who is a guide, will prepare that outline of that group, discussion will happen, location will be finalized, and that is how things will move forward. This is called as a focused study or gathering information, qualitative information. See, here are no numbers here. Rather, quality attributes are understood here, not quantity attributes. It is not the age group of the participants. It is not the income level of the participants. It is not the investment level of the participants, but the background of the participants, educational qualification of the participants, psychological mindset, emotional quotient of that people. That is called as a focused group understanding or gathering information through focused group. So first I talked, that was about interview method, where interviewee and interviewer, they try to meet. If the interviews are physical interviews, they may meet on web, or they may use any other tool, relevant tool, to open their mind and share and explore the information. Second one is more particular, where focused group is there. Now third I will talk about, and that is called the ethnographic studies. Now ethnographic word comes from ethnography, where it involves that researcher immerse himself in a particular community or an organization and tries to observe behavior of the people in that community. So somebody, we always talk about, or we always hear the stories that somebody came from America or somebody came from Europe and settled down in particular community for 4 years, for 5 years, understood the behavior, understood the lifestyle of the people, understand the customs, the values, the taboos, the traditions, and tries to find out or like tries to develop a write-up on the behavior and like lifestyle of the people. So a researcher is then not a different from the population here, becomes a part of that group only, or part of that community rather, or that organization where close observation is possible. So ethnography refers to the written report of the research that the ethnographer produces after staying with them for a long period of time. Could be a 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then try to understand the detailed aspect of that particular community. So it is one of the methods under qualitative aspect where flexible research method is adopted, which allows you to gain deep understanding of that community or of that group's shared culture, their festivals, the conventions, the rituals, and the social dynamics of that group is well studied, well understood. It may involve some practical challenges also. It's not easy for that person to be a part of that group. Also, it is not easy for that group to digest that somebody of a different geographic location is coming and somebody is trying to stay with you and trying to understand your own culture. It is very difficult. But this is again an important way of doing qualitative research. Case studies is yet another important aspect under qualitative studies. Case studies are well studied, or it has been a very important tool to understand, a particular organization, to understand the growth and journey of particular institution over a long period of time. So this research method is used commonly in social sciences, and it is based on an in-depth investigation of an individual or of a group or of an organization. Say case study on Bajaj Auto Limited, for example. A case study on Air India, for example. A case study of group of people. Say when somebody studies, say starvation in Maharashtra, for example, a researcher can take up the case study of Melghat, where starvations are found and children die because of hunger, particularly during the monsoon time. So case studies can be an important qualitative tool in order to actually get into the group, explore that mechanism where you try to understand every minute aspect of that particular individual, particular group of individual, an organization or an institution. Now these case studies can be descriptive case studies, or it can be an exploratory case studies, where the journey of that particular individual, institution, organization can be explored further, and various aspects of that can be touched upon. Yes, that's it from my side. These aspects we need to focus as far as quantitative is concerned. A survey research, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. As far as quantitative is concerned, I told you that it is more of numbers, where systematic tools of gathering data will be used. And after getting numbers, various methods will be applied. Various statistical tools will be applied to find out the relationship between the variables. So under the survey research, one tries to get these numbers, numerical data, cross-sectional data, a time series data can be put in, and then by using certain statistical tools, econometrics tools, the facts will be established. Again, being a deductive method where the focus is on verifying the established facts. Not to analyze the facts, but to verify the established facts. That remains the purpose at the root of this session, or a root of this type of research, I would say. Correlational approach is there, research is there, where a researcher tries to establish the correlation between the variables or among the variables. It could be a positive correlationship where things can go hand in hand in same direction. It can be a negative correlationship where an increase in one variable can lead to a reduction or fall in another variable. And third one can be experimental approach or experimental research, where experiments will be conducted. And based on those experiments, findings can be evolved, conclusions can be drawn, and inferences can be drawn upon. So that is about quantitative techniques or quantitative research. Only aspect what we have to keep in mind that qualitative focus more on human interface, whereas quantitative where you can apply certain tools, you can apply certain packages like SPSS you can use, Excel you can use, Shazam you can use, and there could be number of other R can be used, where like correlation will be established and facts will be established. Yes. Any question?
Participants, if you have any queries or question, you can post in the chat box. Sir, we have received one question from Shobha R.
Yeah.
The question is, when we need to check validity, accuracy, and reliability, is it immediately after conducting survey or it is before?
It is immediately after conducting survey or
before?
No, only after conducting survey. No? It is possible only after conducting surveys.
Okay, sir. So I hope, Shobha madam, you have got your answer. Participants, if you have any query or any doubt or anything you want to ask to our resource person, you can post in the chat box and we will take up the questions.
It was very clear session actually. Isn't it Vijay?
So yes, other participants, you can take the opportunity by asking the questions. Sir, in continuation to the question which I asked, Shobha ma'am asked one more question, but can you please elaborate on checking validity and reliability? So she's asking basically about the validity and reliability test.
See, as far as collection of the data is concerned, no, when a data is collected and before a researcher goes into a massive gathering of the data and then further analyzing that data by using certain tools under quantitative, it is always preferred that one should go ahead with a pilot in that particular region. So maybe a small group or small pieces of data can be gathered, that can be analyzed, and then a relationship should be established, the data to be verified, and like after pilot you will come to know like what kind of trends are found or where the things are directed at. And if you are satisfied after that pilot, then obviously it is advisable to go for a further gathering of the data and further analysis of that data.
I hope, Shobha, madam, you have got your answer.
Because if you collect the wrong data, then you analyze wrong data.
And interpretation will also go wrong, right?
The wrong
result
will never give you the right output.
Yes.
So your output will also be wrong.
Yes. So participants, if you don't have, so one more question, then reliability will be checked immediately after pilot study?
Yes.
Yes. So participants, if there are no questions from your side, so we can proceed further. So thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful session. So now I call Assistant Professor Vinay Shapurkar, sir, to propose formal vote of thanks. Vinay, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Vijay, sir. Good morning to one and all present over here. I, Assistant Professor Vinay Shapurkar, consider my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. I express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Somnath Vibhude, sir, for this wonderful session on qualitative and quantitative research. Sir, the session was very enriching and resourceful and explained in a very radiant manner, making it easy for each one of us to understand. Thank you, sir. It's always been a pleasure to listen to your sessions, sir. Sincere thanks to our benevolent management for providing us with the necessary approvals and support from time to time. I am thankful to our principal, sir, Dr. Sridhar Shetty, sir, for leading us from the front and for being a guiding force in all our endeavors. This research methodology workshop would not have been possible without the guidance from our vice principals. Thank you, Vice Principal Dr. Liji Santosh ma'am, who is also our IQAC coordinator, and also Vice Principal Assistant Professor Sandesh Shetty, sir. A big thank you to the organizing team for working tirelessly towards bringing forth this 10 days ICSSR sponsored workshop. I also express my sincere thanks to the technical team for providing with the necessary technical support required for organizing the event. I'm also thankful to all the coordinators, teachers, and non-teaching staff of the college for providing their support from time to time. Last but not the least, our enthusiastic participants. Thank you, dear participants, for joining us for this 10 days workshop and making the session so lively with your queries and feedback. We look forward to meet you again for the next sessions too. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
You can record the stop recording, then I can take principal sir into